You see, all this searching for truth nonsense, it stems from human insecurity. Why is it that people feel as if truth is so important? It's simply because we get lied to so often. If it wasn't for the fact that we're always being lied to, we're always being manipulated, then we wouldn't need to fucking know what truth is, would we? Hang on about, I just gotta... We wouldn't be so emphatic about finding truth. And so, can't you see? Let's go fucking... Can't you see that all of you people who are seeking truth, and you're looking for truth, is because you're looking to abate your fear. You're looking when they're going to come for me, how they're going to come for me, how they're going to try and deceive me, how they're going to try and manipulate me. Ooh, they're looking at me now, they're trying to control us, you know. When you mature, and it doesn't matter whether you've got any balls or not. You see, I've always been a ballsy person, and I've took the world by the horns, and I've fought with it, I've jousted with it, I have been compromised by it, and I've come back to be the victor. Always important for me, like you truth seekers. It's always been important for me not to be taken advantage of, and always to be in the position whereby I could take advantage of other people if I so wanted to, rather than having it the other way around. Now, it's not in my nature to take advantage of people, and so I've never done it. And so, but if you are in a position whereby people can take advantage of you, then the chances are they're going to do it. That's why I always have made sure that I was a self-made man. And I've never needed to rely on anybody. I've always made my own breaks, and I've always owned my own businesses. And I've always done whatever I wanted to do. And when anybody or any business or any institution, any government, any country ever told me that I couldn't do it, I would say to them, well, you better tell me on what premise you're telling me I can't. Lay it on me, all the so-called law, the rules, all the regulations, I want to see it. And then I'd look through and I'd go, no, that old chestnut again. There isn't actually a law. There's just some sort of a request in the guise of a law. And, you know, it's kind of like, look, it's like these people. It's like when people have debt collectors. I've had debt collectors come to many of my properties because I have taken money from large institutions, i.e. banks. I've made a lot of money, I've taken a lot of money from a lot of banks in my life, and I've done it without the slightest of conscience. Who would have any conscience? They are not offering you any real money, and the interest that they charge you is obscene. And so look, I've looked into debt, and I've looked into bailiffs, and I've looked into all this stuff, and I know what I'm speaking about again. And I know that if you ever owe any money to any business or any bank, when you go to the court, the interest is always the first thing that they completely write off. Why do they write off the interest? Because it is obscene, because it's disgusting greed. And also the courts know that it wasn't even lawful to take any fucking interest. You know, usury, it was the most disgusting and abhorrent thing in the Bible. And so the whole world is gone under now, the guise and the cloak of usury. and they're doing it now without a conscience. But this is, the issue what I've got with so many things, you see. So-called Christians. Well, if you're a Christian and you work in a bank, then you're immoral. You're absolutely disgusting and you're vile, because you're working for a manipulation, a lie, a government-supported free private enterprise which is using usury to extort the masses, and all the rest of the immoral implications that money has, and why we're being forced into using it and working for it, slaving for it. Why have we all been enslaved for money via the bankers? Well, because they want to use us as slaves, and they want to breed us like cattle. But in relation to owing money to companies, you can never ever go to prison for owing money to a company. The only time in the British Isles that you would go to prison for owing money if you owe the government, if you owe tax or VAT. You will never go to prison for owing, a lot of money. Unless, of course, what you've done is you have committed a crime against the state, really, whereby you've embezzled, let's say, several million, and then they'll look at giving you a prison sentence then. But if you've just been the average Joe and you owe the bank 10 grand, 20 grand, something like this, no prison sentence is going to be imposed. And no bailiffs have the right to enter your property unless you owe money to the government. So don't ever be worried about bailiffs coming round, because unless you open the door and let them in, or if you should leave a door open or a window open when you are not in there, if you're not in, they can enter through a door that isn't locked and a window that is open. But if you're in and the door's open, they cannot enter. And they most certainly can't force the door down. And very often these bailiffs will tell you they're going to bring the police, and sometimes they may even bring the police. And the police won't know what the law is, but the law is that even with the police, unless you owe government, they can't use force to enter, and they can't take anything out of your house if you don't let them in. Now, of course, if you've got property outside, then they might clamp it or something like this, and then you have to fight for that in the courts. But just chill on the bailiffs coming around and threatening you, because they've got no power whatsoever. Just laugh at them, just a joke. You see, at the end of the day, by the time the bailiffs come round, it's because they have bought your debt. Because what happens is when you borrow some money, or you don't pay for some goods, or you have a loan you don't pay, something like that, then that bank or is the institutional business will send you letters of your debt, and after a certain period they write your debt off. Maybe it's 6 months. Having sent out so many letters, they'll write the debt off, and then that debt will be available for bailiffs, private companies to buy. But you see, by the time they've bought that debt, then the contract with you and the person you owed the money to has been broken, because you signed a contract with the bank to borrow the money, or with the company to hire purchase, or whatever it is. And if you've broke that contract, then that contract has been broken with them. And if that company decide then to sell your debt, and you say to the bailiff when they come around, say, oh, hang on, who's that? Who did I sign that contract with? And they'll go, you signed the contract with Barclays Bank, and you owed them X. And I say, oh, well, I signed the contract with them. Who are you? Oh, I'm so-and-so bailiff. Well, I didn't sign it with you, did I? I've not got a contract with you. So why are you coming for money with a contract with another company? Well, we've bought that debt. Well done. Thank you very much. You've bought the debt. You just said it. You bought the debt. It's no longer a debt to me. You've bought it. You see? But most people, they don't know this. And then if you tell them, thank you very much, you've bought my debt, have a good day, then there's nothing they can do. But 99% of the people don't know this. And they just shit themselves, crumble. And as soon as they get a letter from the bailiff, oh, the bailiff, oh, we must pay, pet. And then they've got you exactly where they fucking want you. In Muppetsville. Look, people, the thing is not to have any fear. And you get less and less fear, the less and less that you have to lose, that you have that they can take. Now, if you've got property and goods and all this sort of thing, well, you're vulnerable, aren't you? You're vulnerable to burglars, you're vulnerable to deflation, you're vulnerable to dictators and to coups and to all different sorts of things. As soon as you've got something, you're vulnerable. And you think at this moment in time, my house is worth X. Well, all of a sudden we enter into a fucking property crash, or the currency implodes, or there's a world recession, and how much is your property worth then? Overnight it loses 100 grand, doesn't it? It's no longer worth even fucking half of what you paid for it. And so, you see how you become very, very vulnerable. And so in my life now, I don't get involved with all that shit. I've had all that shit, I've been there and I've done it. Now, what is there that they could take away from me? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And so, I'm in the best possible position in the world. And what I have on my side is my rights that the government say I have. Now, the government have to say that you have certain rights in certain predicaments or arenas. And so I am exercising and operating within my rights. That's where I am. And so anything I want within my rights, they have to give it to me. And so, when you are a European citizen, particularly a British citizen, I'm a British citizen, god damn it, I'm a very important person. I'm one of the most important people on the planet. We have a fucking king. He's the King of England. Formerly the British Empire. Do you realise who I am? I am a British passport holder. This is why I can go anywhere in the world. And people just welcome British passport owners because we're very valuable creatures, we're very valuable citizens, we're very valuable chattels to the British government. Why are we that valuable? Because we come from a very affluent country. So therefore, why would we ever want to leave the best country on the planet to go and illegally live in another country? So therefore, any country on the planet will just let us in. They don't even want to know whether we've got any money. Of course we've got money. They're British citizens. All British citizens have got money. You see, this is how it works, people. But whereas, if you've got a passport, you're from Venezuela, fucking where? Oh, I'm from Honduras. Fucking Hon what? I'm from who? I'm from Kazaka what? Forget it. Forget it. Your passport is like a get out of jail free card for Monopoly. Try and use it in the real world, you can't fucking use it. It's a joke. And so there's a whole bunch of things to learn about this world, people. And so I was born a very, very privileged person indeed. I was born into the British Empire. And I am a citizen, formerly of the Queen of England. The Queen reigned for all the years of my life. And now her son has taken over, the King of England, and he's a very, very important man in the world. He's the head of the World Economic Forum. Not on paper, but he is. You see, on paper you think it's Klaus Schwab. He is not. It's the King of England. And so, I have the British Crown on my passport. I have a British birth certificate. I'm very important and very valuable. And because of my importance and because of my value, then the British government deem me to be precious. So if I have some illnesses or something, then they've got to repair this machine free. You know, we've got one of the fucking last vestiges of free health in the fucking world. The British National Health. I mean, people can call it, but you get shit free. I had a hip replacement and I only had to wait 1 month. Can you believe it? And I got the hip replaced in a private fucking hospital because the government hospitals were too busy and they're too full. I only had to wait 1 month, not 5 years or 2 years, 1 fucking month. And then the Awaken Brave was straight in and out with best quality. Surgeons and doctors and nurses and all that. And now I'm waiting to have a tooth done. Now, unfortunately, it's not like the good old days, let's say about 10 years ago, when you'd be in a few weeks. I've got to wait a few months. Private dentists start at £3,000 for this tooth, and that's if there's no complications. If it's just a straight drill out of the existing tooth, which is still in the gum, and they can stick a fucking peg in it, that's £3,000. If there needs to be an operation to take out the existing splinters of tooth, then we're going up to 5 or 6 grand. And so that's what I'm going to have done on the National Health. So I don't want to spend 6 grand on that. I mean, even if I had 6 grand, I could buy 6 very nice cars. Very nice cars. You know, you get a very good car these days for £1,000. And so dentistry is extortion. It's absolutely extortion. And because the dental practice institution has taken it upon themselves to be organised crime, effectively, that's why the National Health is so inundated. And I said to the person this morning I'm speaking, I said, look, my tooth's now fallen out, and I don't know whether that qualifies me to sort of like jump the queue a little bit, because in the old days I seem to remember that the National Health, if you lost one of your 4 front teeth, then you'd get in straight away, almost like an emergency, because they're deemed it to be uncouth to have 1 tooth missing, and they think that it'd be prevention from you getting a job and embarrassing for you to work and this, that and the other. Now, you know, I'm probably going to have to wait like 4 or 6 months to get it done, because of the inundation, because of the dental practice they have turned into organised crimes. And I said to this person who said, yes, we're getting complaints about it all day long, every day. It's shocking, something must be done. And I said, well, yes, it's about time the government brought jurisdiction to them and said, oi, you think you're the fucking mafia? You think you're the fucking Costa Nostra, do you? You think you organise crime? No, you're not. You're going to come under, you know, our jurisdiction, and they should put a cap on the prices that they're charging and make sure whatever they're charging is reasonable, and so you don't have to walk around for the rest of your life because you don't have 6 fucking grand to spend on a tooth, you know. And all of you guys, you're all aware that I could go to Bulgaria, I can go to, you know, I don't know, Bucharest, or I can go lots of fucking places in Eastern Europe and I could get it for a fraction. But I don't want to do that. And I'm not spending any money on it when I know I can get it free and all I've got to do is wait. It's not like I'm embarrassed because I've not got a tooth. The rest of my teeth are all beautiful, nice and clean and well kept. It's just that one, I had a motorbike accident and I knocked these 2 teeth back and they needed capping. And that was like 30 years ago. And so, anyway, where was I? I was in the middle of another fucking wonderful Awaken Brave rant, that's where I was. Do you remember where you were, Aaron? I will in a minute. What was I talking about? Oh, I'm talking about those people looking for truth is because you're scared. And so, do you know that? Why else would you look for truth? Why would you think truth's important? I don't think truth's important. I think truth is bullshit. I've never found truth in my fucking life, and I've been involved in a lot of stuff, people. I've never found any definitive truth. When you go to investigate something or set out to do something, oh yes, this is true, and oh, it works like that, and oh, it's easy. But when you do it, you find it's completely the fucking obverse. And I've done this in business, I've done it in property development, in several places around the world. I've entered into all different sorts of fucking contracts and shit like that. And it's always been a fucking nightmare. And I got sick and tired of it. And that's why I decided that I'm just going to take all my money, sell the business, sell all my property, and just go and fucking spend it. And that's what I did. It took me 14 years to spend the money I'd accumulated, and I was living in rented accommodation. I was staying in hotels and all different sort of villas all around the fucking world for 14 years, people, until it finally ran out. And now I'll just fall back on me being very important. I'm a very important person. Have I told you before? I think I've told you. I've told you. You see why I'm important? When you know a little bit about the world, you start to work a few things out. And then, if you're a little bit smart, you find your fucking perfect little nook and cranny where it's all nice and fucking cosy and beautiful. And you can just be like my squirrel. Just wakes up in the morning. Why? Well, he's got his fucking house paid for. He knows that Daddy's going to be there every morning and night with his breakfast and his evening meal. What the fuck's he got to worry about? You see? So what have I done? I've just emulated the life of a pet squirrel, haven't I? And the thing is, right, you know when people say people's pets look like their owners? Well, my pet is a direct reflection of me, of how I live my life. And so I'm thinking, you know, there's something more in this universe going on than meets the eye, you know, people. Why is he a direct reflection? Well, he's a direct reflection because I've created his reality for him. So I've afforded him the same privileges that I've got. I've passed it down. I'm in a privileged position, and so through my love, I have created a part of my privileged world for him. And so, for as long as he wants to, he can live rent-free. And I've just, by the way, I've just refurbished a whole new property for him, and I'll do another video on that. It's got some additions to it now, and it's starting to look absolutely wonderful. So he's gonna have two homes. You know, he's only been in one home, you know, for a few weeks, and he's already going up in the property fucking ladder. He owns two fucking penthouses now. I don't know whether he'll rent out the bottom one or whether he'll just use that as a fucking holiday home, you know? But whatever, it's his prerogative. He's a British citizen. He's a fucking, I'm gonna get him a passport. You know, his little cute face, you know, with a fucking crown embossed on the front of the passport. He's a British subject. He's very important and powerful. You hear me on this, people? You hearing me? Of course, you know, I'm being facetious. That means funny. You know, for some of you, so, you know, we don't kind of be bothered to reach for the fucking Google dictionary. Facetious. It means I'm being funny. And so, I'm being a little bit funny here, people, but many true words spoken in jest. That was one of the Marx Brothers' sayings. Many a true word spoken in jest. Yes. Anyway, guys and girls, I'm about at home. and so I've got a bit of Providence watching to do. I've got some other things, you know, a bit of writing on my book, and crack a beer and a bit of kratom, and just fucking enjoy myself, you know, enjoy my British citizenry.